It can be hard to find time to make YouTube videos, especially if you have school or work or other things taking up most of your time. I've been making YouTube videos consistently for over half a year, and even though I'm definitely not an expert, I think I know more about this than the average person, and I think that a lot of the things I know could help you. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some things that will help you make YouTube videos more efficiently. And before we get started into the video, I just wanted to say that this video isn't going to be entertaining, so if you're here for entertainment, just leave, because in this video I'm just going to try to give you as much value as possible in the shortest amount of time. So these things I'm going to share with you are the 5 pillars or the 5 steps to making a YouTube video. Of course, the first thing you need to do is come up with an idea, and sometimes people might think this is the easiest part, but this can a lot of times be the hardest part, because no matter how good quality your YouTube video is, if it's not a good idea, no one's going to watch it anyway, and it's just going to be bad. So the first thing you want to do when coming up with an idea is think of something that people are actually going to watch and is going to be relevant for longer than just a short amount of time, because those things are usually things that trend for a week or a month, but then that video won't be getting views in 5 years. Even if a video doesn't get a lot of views now, if it's evergreen content and it can last for years because it's a searchable topic, then people are going to still be watching it in years. And you can still do this with entertainment type content. Just most of the time it's better to not be making videos just because they're trending right now. And even though you might be good at coming up with good video ideas, it's still hard to think of them just because you might be distracted. So I would say definitely go somewhere without distractions. If you live in a quiet house but in a busy area, stay inside your house. Really, wherever you can think the best, that's where you should go to come up with video ideas, whether it's riding your bike, going for a run, or just sitting by yourself. Whatever it is, make sure to do that, because it can be very hard to come up with YouTube video ideas if you're constantly being distracted by other things around you. Also, you can just try watching videos or doing something to get inspiration for your ideas. One method I've found to be pretty effective when coming up with ideas is actually to come up with 10 ideas or just a bunch of ideas that come up off the top of your head. So even if they're good or bad, just write them all down, and then in the end, you'll probably find at least one that's good in there. That can be better than just sitting there for an hour just doing nothing and eventually you come up with something. It's almost like a filtering system, because you get all those bad ideas out of your head and then eventually a good one pops up. Well, that was step 1 to making a YouTube video. Now we're going to move on to step 2, which is planning. Most people, when they think of planning YouTube videos, they might think of getting a shot list or writing a script. But when I say planning, I don't necessarily mean writing a script word for word. Here's how I do it. And I honestly think it's one of the best ways to do it, just because it saves you a ton of time. So write the intro word for word. And the intro is usually about 15 to 30 seconds long, so that wouldn't take too long to write word for word. And the reason why I do the intro word for word and not the rest of the video is because the intro is one of the most important parts to keep people watching. And in the intro, I try to get straight to the point and tell everybody what they came for and what they're going to see in the rest of the video. And the rest of the video, I just write down bullet points. Sometimes it's a few, sometimes it's a lot, depending on how much I don't want to forget or how long the video is going to be. And after I see a bullet point I've written down, I just talk about it. I don't necessarily script that part. I just look at the bullet point, remember what I had been thinking of when thinking of the video idea and all the things I wanted to talk about, and then I talk about it. And the reason why I even use bullet points in the first place is because sometimes when I'm filming, after I'm done, I'll realize that I didn't say something that I wanted to say and that would have been a great part of the video, just because I didn't write it down and I thought I would just remember it. Well, I didn't. Well, now we're moving on to step 3, which is filming. So I would actually recommend having all your gear out and ready. Like, don't pack up your lights, don't put your camera away. Also, this depends on how much you film, of course, because if you film a video once a month, you are going to want to be putting it away. But for me personally, I film once a week, and I just find it way too hard to put all my gear away every time I film, because say I'm filming 1 to 2 days of the week, usually just 1, I'm going to be taking out my gear so soon after. With having your gear away, not only does it make you not want to film as much, but even if you do want to film, it's going to take a lot longer. And I know not everyone has the space to be able to leave your gear out, but if you can, I would highly recommend doing it. When it comes to shooting B-roll, I would recommend writing down a shot list. I don't do this all the time because I don't tend to shoot a ton of B-roll, but if you do, you need a shot list, because otherwise when you're editing, you're just gonna realize that you didn't have enough B-roll to cover all the points you were talking about. So it's just better that way, so you have enough footage to cover the whole video, or whatever parts of the video you wanted to put B-roll in. And I know a lot of you might not be good at talking on camera, so I'm just gonna quickly tell you how to do that.
Just do it!
Yeah, that's basically it. You just gotta practice. Now moving on to the 4th step, which is editing. And I know some people love editing and some people hate editing, but if you make YouTube videos, at least when you're starting out, you need to do the editing. Now, editing can be one of the most fun parts of making a video, but also one of the most time-consuming parts. But I'm going to tell you how to edit efficiently from the beginning of the video to the end of the video, so you're not wasting countless hours editing a video when you could have only spent a few. First, do the rough cut, especially if it's a talking head video like the one I'm making right now. It's best, bro. First, I would recommend doing a rough cut, and what that means is basically just going through and cutting up your footage, cutting out all the parts you didn't mean to say, all of the mistakes, or things you just don't want in the video. Okay, I'm sorry, that RGB light just died, it overheated, it won't be there for the rest of the video, but that's fine. So as I was saying before, doing a rough cut can be very useful if you're making a talking head video, because you can just get through the entire video, see all the points you want to make, and almost like plan out all the text and b-roll and graphics you want to add later in. Now, once you've already done the rough cut of your video, then go through and do things like the b-roll and the sound effects and the graphic design and text and all that stuff that you wanted to add in after. Now, the reason why I do it this way is because I feel like if I go through the video start to finish doing everything and not just the rough cut, it tends to take a super long time because then I'm super picky about certain things. A problem a lot of people have with editing is they keep going back to the beginning of the video and watching it. And I understand why people do this because I do it sometimes too if the video is really good and I just love it. And that especially makes sense if you're making a YouTube short or an edit of something, stuff like that. But not when you're making a long YouTube video because that's just gonna waste hours. So don't keep going back and watching it, only go back and watch like little 10-second sections that you just edited, and then after that maybe only 1 to 2 times you can go through, especially at the end of the video once you're done editing, just to see if it's all good and it's ready to export. Now that's all you have to do to make the YouTube video file itself, but that's not all you have to do to upload the video. You still gotta make the thumbnail and you still gotta do all the SEO stuff. Now for a thumbnail, you're gonna wanna find a way to make a clear, simple thumbnail. Because if your thumbnail has tons of text everywhere or just tons of colors and way too many things going on, it's not gonna stand out immediately, and you might think the opposite. You might think it's gonna stand out more, but it won't. It's really just gonna look really cheap. So you should make a clear, simple thumbnail and use colors that work together. You can even use colors like orange and blue or things. Just look on the color wheel and see the ones that are opposite from each other. That'll add contrast and those colors usually go together nicely. Usually my whole process for making a thumbnail only takes about an hour to an hour and a half. And I forgot to mention earlier, but usually my process for making a YouTube video takes about 3 to 5 hours overall. So now moving on to uploading, I would highly recommend having something in the description that's going to help you. And you may be confused as to what I mean by that, but what I basically mean is have something in the description other than just words. For example, I have affiliate links in my description, which lead to products I use and also, for example, the music I use and my email list. Because if you just do these things slowly, even when you're a small channel, after a while you're going to realize that it paid off, and if you ever do want to make a product, you have a lot of people that have already, say, signed up for your email list, or you've been making a little bit of money through affiliate links. Things like that will just add up over time. And even though it takes a little bit of extra work, I would highly recommend having something in the description of your videos that benefits you. Also, I just find it very unprofessional when I click into the description of a video and I just see like one sentence. I can just tell that that's definitely a small channel and somebody who hasn't been doing YouTube for long. And I used to do the same exact thing, but if you want to treat YouTube more like a business, I would highly recommend putting something in the description that's going to benefit you and your audience. And some people, when they're uploading YouTube videos, might get hung up on tags. Don't worry about that. Basically, tags don't really do much to help viewers find your video. Just put a few in that are basically just variations of the title, and after that, you're good. And speaking of the title, I would highly oh, it just turned back on. And speaking of the title, you need to make a title that is short, it says exactly what the video is about, and it goes with the thumbnail. Okay, my SD card storage is about to run out in like 2 seconds, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.